thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ian and Andrea, and all who've made this possible. I suppose in some ways I'm representing another part of our international development studies community, which comes from the United States, from Cornell University. Ravi Kanbur also, of course, represents Cornell. But for many years, our work at Cornell has been very parallel to that which was done here at IDS Sussex. But I want to say that whereas I think our work has never had the institutional support for all this difficulties you've had here at IDS, I'm so pleased to come back to, I don't know how many times now, see that this is still a very thriving, energetic, relatively self-confident development community. And I want to pay tribute to IDS. Some might call it the house that Robert built, but he would, of course, insist not. For us, it has been since you started here in 1972. We started in 1971, the Rural Development Committee and so forth. It's been a very parallel development, but we recognize the preeminence which Sussex has had, and we hope you will continue to set a good example, which maybe we can come behind. Robert and I first met in 1968, which is quite a long time ago. We've had a very enjoyable collegial association all this time, and for many years we worked on very similar things. Participation and development is the subject, as Andy mentioned, which I've worked on for so many years. Like Robert, I've been hijacked. I was hoping you'd have a panel on agroecology or system of rice intensification, but you put me back into my earlier incarnation. Robert, of course, has been hijacked by sanitation of all things. Who would have thought 10 years ago this would be where Robert's passion is, just like mine's on rice. But in any case, this is one of the messages of Robert's work. Follow your passions. Just to come back to the participation development theme for a little while, it was very interesting that the work which was being done here at Sussex, which Robert helped to guide and urge on, parallel work which we did also with colleagues at Berkeley. David Leonard's here, he's now at Sussex, in which we really puzzled over this question: how do you change this tradition of top-down management? And in our work on participatory development, it's very clear that you could identify what we call the paternalistic fallacy, that people at the top had all the wisdom and knowledge and virtue needed to make the right decisions and make things happen. We also in our work discovered something we call the populist fallacy, which was the converse, that in fact the people themselves should not be idealized. They're just like everyone else. They have pettiness and pride and shortcomings, as well as great aspirations and creativity and heroism. And so in many ways it's been a dialectical relationship when we think about participation and development. And the question is really, how do we create relationships which will be of mutuality, certainly mutual respect, but also in a partnership. And so in my contribution, which sort of dragged me out of my rice passion back to the old days of participation, what I chose to focus on was this: how we gone from that sort of antithesis back to more of a synthesis when we think about participation and development. I'm just going to take two themes which I think really exemplify Robert's work in the area of development administration, which I was involved with as well, which, however, I think does look to the future. I appreciate the injunction to think ahead. And I see a very strong paradox, or almost a non-contradiction, but an apparent paradox between two things which I've certainly gotten from Robert's work. The first is to think systemically. Try to put all the pieces together. We live in an age where specialization not only has great prestige, but also great power. And what this does is it puts on all kinds of, we use the word silos in America, and I don't know if you use it here in the UK as well. We got some silo thinking and behavior. Robert's hated silos all his life. And and keeps challenging them. And all of us have to really inveigh against, I'm not saying specialization is good, but everything can be taken too far. There are diminishing returns to everything, even specialization. And what we have to do is see, how do we keep this whole system, the whole person, the whole community, links between the physical and the social and the biotechnical, all of these melded together. And so I think that systemic thinking is needed now more than ever, because the world's getting more and more complex. But in fact, our methodologies, our intellectual habits are really not very good for that. And we have to fight for it that way. But on the other hand, we have the importance of choosing sides. which sounds very different. And I think Robert's work has said, you can think systemically, you can think big, and don't forget to choose sides. Which side are you on? If you're in development studies, you presumably have some stakes in this. You're not just a passive bystander. And I think too many of our people in development studies still have that notion that if they're going to be good professionals, good academics, they'll be specialized and they'll all be neutral, nonpartisan, not get out front. And I think that one of the things which all of us have benefited from Robert's work is the idea that it's all right. Not only all right, it's good, it's imperative. So please, so let's think about how do we, it sounds paradoxical, how do we proceed then with this much broader vision than most of our current fashions and disciplines and reward systems give us, and then also at the same time choose sides. And there's been no question where Robert's choices have been. I think all of you share that. That's why you're here and appreciate all his leadership. But I think the importance of having some passion, caring about things, caring about outcomes, keeping the big picture, being good, objective, responsible, disciplined analysts, evaluators, critics. That doesn't mean you have to be on the sidelines. And so let's all think about how we can get ourselves into the battles that count.